Right now, let's give you a live look at the UCLA campus where police have dismantled a pro-Palestinian protest encampment. This comes after officers spent hours threatening arrest if people did not disperse. Now, I'll show you some video from earlier this morning when officers in riot gear showed up onto the campus and they moved in. That encampment was surrounded by barricades made of wooden crates and plywood. Flashbangs could be heard before officers started tearing those barricades down. UCLA says that all the classes are remote now because of, quote, the emergency on campus. There's already been violence associated with this particular protest. 15 people were injured there on Tuesday and this morning. Police detained several protesters. No word just yet on any arrests. Speaking of arrests, on the other side of the country, police took 90 people into custody during a pro-Palestine protest at Dartmouth College. Video shows police putting zip ties on people as the crowd chanted "Free Palestine." We don't know what charges those people face at this point, though police do say that they are committed to keeping people safe while supporting the right to peaceful protest. Those 90 arrests in New Hampshire will only add to the growing tally of arrests nationwide. CNN has done the math and found more than 1,500 people have been arrested on college and university campuses since April 18th. To break that down even more, those arrests were made on 30 campuses across 23 different states. And Corey, that includes the Auraria campus here in Denver.
That's right. Police arrested 40 people from the Auraria campus last Friday when they tried to clear out the encampment there. As far as we know, no other arrests have been made. And today, that protest in Denver hits the 1-week mark. For now, the campus has allowed the camp to stay. Even after the arrest last week, people just kept coming back, and they've said they won't leave until their demands are met. Chief among them that CU should cut financial ties and other connections with Israel. Campus leaders have met with the protesters, but the stalemate between the two stands for now. Protests are also starting to pop up at other campuses around Colorado. A die-in in support of Palestine happened at CU Boulder Wednesday. That's where students lie down in a public place and refuse to leave. Students at Colorado College walked out of classes in Colorado Springs, and CSU Pueblo students held a protest on campus Wednesday. You can find more coverage on these protests on 9news.com and the 9 News app. That app is free to download on the Apple and Google Play stores.
New this morning, Denver police are on the hunt for a murder suspect. Late last night, they were called to a shooting in the 3900 block of Malta Street. That is in a neighborhood in Green Valley Ranch, west of E470. Police say that the adult man died at the hospital, and they are calling this a homicide. They ask anyone who might know something to call Crime Stoppers. That number is 720-913-STOP. Right now, we are trying to learn more about an attack on an officer last night. Police say a woman stabbed the officer at a grocery store in North Boulder. Officers arrested that woman at the Lucky's Market off Broadway and Quincy Avenue. The officer went to the hospital and is expected to be okay. As we learn more information, we're going to keep you updated on the networks of 9 News.
Today, the man who police say tried to kidnap a student from an elementary school is set to go to court. Solomon Galligan has a hearing scheduled this morning. A couple weeks ago during recess at Black Forest Hills Elementary, police say Galligan approached kids on the playground and tried to grab one of them. Galligan is a registered sex offender. His hearing is scheduled to start at 9 o'clock at Arapahoe County. The Cherry Creek School District says it has changed its safety protocols since the incident. Nearly 4 years after 5 people died in a deadly house fire, a judge is set to officially charge one of the people accused of starting it. Kevin Bowie faces murder charges in the case. Police say he and 2 others went to a home on Truckee Street in Green Valley Ranch, poured accelerant, and then set it on fire. 2 adults and a child escaped, but 5 members of the Joel family died, including 3 adults and 2 children. Investigators say the motive was revenge after Bowie's phone was stolen, but they say the group targeted the wrong home. Bowie's arraignment is set for tomorrow morning in Denver District Court. A judge is scheduled to officially charge him in the arson case, but he'll also be charged in a separate case for having contraband in jail.
I am mad. I'm pissed off. There's absolutely no reason anybody should be conducting themselves in such a violent, careless, heartless way that children should be shot.
The chief of police in Fort Worth, Texas, did not hold back after his town was the target of the country's latest mass shooting. At least 6 people were shot, including 4 children, near an apartment complex last night. The victims range in age from 19 to 3 years old. There is no update as to how they are all doing this morning. Police say that the shots came from a car. They have made no arrests, and they don't have a motive at this point either. New this morning, officials in Maryland have recovered the body of a fifth victim at the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse site. The Unified Command identified the victim as 49-year-old construction worker Miguel Angel Luna Gonzalez. According to the release, investigators recovered his body from inside a red truck. The Key Bridge collapsed in March after a cargo vessel slammed into the bridge, killing 6 construction workers.
Arizona will no longer enforce a Civil War-era ban on nearly all abortions. Today, Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs is set to sign a repeal bill into law. The Arizona Senate voted to repeal the ban 3 weeks after the state Supreme Court revived the law, sending reproductive rights into the political spotlight. After procedural votes, floor speeches lasted more than 2 hours. For the most part, Republicans displayed their opposition to abortion, while Democrats said repealing the law is a step into the future.
I don't want us honoring laws about women written during a time when women were forbidden from voting because their voices were considered inferior to men.
Governor Hobbs says the repeal is just the beginning of a fight to protect reproductive health care in Arizona, but it may not take effect until 90 days after the end of the legislative session in June or July.
We're going to have new details this morning on a bill that would change how kids interact with social media in Colorado. Lawmakers in the House Education Committee have decided to put talk of that bill on hold indefinitely. The bill came up in that committee yesterday. If it were to pass, it would require social media companies to verify each potential user's age. To verify age, they would be required to keep data about users' identities and activity for at least a year. It would also add parental controls and ban users who promote illicit or sexually exploitative content. The bill faces criticism from the LGBTQ+ community over worries that the bill would lead to bans on any LGBTQ content, even if it's not sexual in nature. Progressive organizations and reproductive health advocates also say that the bill has major privacy implications. The bill made its way through the Senate with a near unanimous vote last month, but now it's stalled in committee in the House. With a potential ban on TikTok on the table, some local experts aren't worried about the app and what it would look like.
Yeah, they're more worried about your wallet, actually. 9 News reporter Anusha Roy joins us with a closer look at this. Good morning, Anusha.
Good morning, Corey and Jordan. Yeah, I had a really fascinating conversation with MSU Communication Study professor Sam Jay. He was hard-pressed to find any similar situation to what is happening with TikTok right now. The closest that he could find was when the U.S. banned a technology company called Highway from Southeast Asia over security concerns about computer chips being used in the U.S. That was a few years ago. TikTok, totally different, right? This is an app that is openly available to people here. And now, as a part of that massive national security package, it gives TikTok's parent company ByteDance 9 months to sell or face a nationwide ban in the U.S. The president can grant a one-time extension of 90 days. Lawmakers are worried about the company's ties to China and that it could pose a national security risk. Now, Professor Jay says the U.S. has the legal right to make a move like this because of our trade laws, but it's actually the trade aspect of this that has him particularly worried.
I guess my concerns are the negative repercussions in terms of geopolitics, and trade, right? I mean, China produces a lot of the goods that we consume, and if the Chinese government decides to increase, tariffs or increase the pricing of some of this stuff, whether that's technology, whether that's the clothing that we wear, we could see an impact on our individual bottom lines. And so I don't think that the tech usage is going to be the change in tech usage and what is to come from that is going to be as impactful as literally the kind of the potential for a financial impact at the household level.
As for the app itself, Professor Jay says if a sale does go through, either that new company would keep a similar version of TikTok or another company would just try to fill that void. If a ban does happen, it doesn't mean that someone is coming in and deleting the app off your phone. What would happen is that the app stores wouldn't actually carry it anymore. It wouldn't be updated, and that's how it would eventually kind of fizzle away. But now, really, Professor Jay said the big concern here is who is going to be that gatekeeper to all of that data, and is that company easier to regulate in the U.S.? Of course, ByteDance is saying that they're going to be challenging this in court. That's going to hold up any kind of changes to TikTok. So coming up at 7 o'clock on KTVD, we're actually talking about the timing of the change and what that ultimately means for our elections as well.
And that timing is really interesting, too, because, of course, the sale of ByteDance, if that were to happen, that also relies on, another country stepping in to say if they're going to allow that, which would be China.
Exactly. And that's what Professor Jay was saying as well, is that this company is now caught between two major powers who have very different interests here.
Right.
And then if you're talking about a sale, it's who has the money for something like this as well.
Because it's tens of billions of dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is worth a lot of money. And there's also concerns about monopoly, too, of other tech companies coming in to step into that void as well.
True. And the timing of it all is very interesting. All right, Anusha, thank you.
Well, one thing you want to know about the weather is the weekend forecast, because there's a lot going on, including the furry scurry. 68 degrees, partly cloudy skies, so a very nice day. A little bit above seasonal for this time of year, but take a look at your Sunday. We'll see partly cloudy skies as well, but we'll get to near 80 degrees.
Ed, thank you. Right now, we want to check in on your drive with a look at our map this hour. Lots and lots of green out here, but I want to warn you about some overnight road work that's going to close a portion of I-70 overnight tonight. So I-70 will close between Tower Road and Colfax starting at 10 o'clock tonight. It'll reopen by 5 in the morning. That closure going to happen again Friday night going into Saturday morning.